What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to one and all, and welcome to your WWE Raw review for January 22nd, 2024. Boy, wouldn't that be nice if it was 2004 again? 2024. This was the Go Home Royal Rumble Raw. Royal Rumble comes to us this Saturday from Tampa, Florida, Raymond James Stadium. It's going to be a huge deal, and we are heading into that show with a lot of unanswered questions, at least we thought, as it pertains to Seth Rollins' injury. We got some of that answered tonight. Seth Rollins did address his injury, and we got a really amazing face-to-face promo with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk that I loved every single second of. Overall, tonight's Raw, I thought was decent. I was more just interested on what Seth was going to say and seeing that face-to-face with Cody and Punk. I wasn't interested in too much else. Pretty solid main event, too, with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. But I wanted to know what Seth Rollins was going to say, if we were going to have to worry about any title forfeiture or cash in or anything like that. They might have done that tonight, so I was really interested to see that. But in terms of everything else they did, I wasn't really expecting a show that was too crazy tonight, you know what I mean? So let me know in the chat what you guys thought of tonight's WWE Raw. Grade it A, B, C, or D, or 1 through 10, or whatever. Let me know what you thought of the show, and we will go through it here bit by bit, and we will talk a lot about the Royal Rumble as we go through. Only a handful of participants for each Rumble are advertised so far. They ran through the Rumble card a couple of minutes before Raw was over, and they only had like 4 women on the women's graphic. I don't know how many men they had up there, but they haven't really announced, any of the field other than just a few, which really keeps your options open for surprises. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, they've done it both ways. They've had plenty of years where they've announced everybody. They've had plenty of years where they've announced most people, and they've had some years where they haven't really announced many people at all. So doesn't look like they're going to really give us any indication or hints as to what kind of surprises we could see in the Rumble, but I've got my fingers crossed for a couple, and one of those could be our friend Big E, and I mentioned this about 2 weeks ago on the podcast, and the more you see New Day feuding with Imperium on TV, and the disqualification or double countout finish that we saw tonight with the double table bump and the post-match brawl, I think it would be really cool if Ludwig and Vinci and Gunther were in the ring with Kofi and with Xavier. They're the only 5 men in the ring, and then that timer starts ticking down. Imagine the pop, imagine the moment. That would be amazing. Here's one Rumble entrant I'm a little bit worried about. Hulkamania. Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea could potentially make an appearance in this Royal Rumble. I never even thought about that until just a little while ago when they said something about him on Monday Night Raw. There was even a clip of him saying, maybe I got one more in me. That must have been one of those Rumble by the Numbers segment. And the Royal Rumble is in Tampa. They tried to bring his ass out there in the pirate outfit at WrestleMania 37 back in 2021 after the pandemic with Titus O'Neil as his black shield there, thinking that, well, maybe he won't be booed in his hometown. Might be the same thing here. If they ever want to do anything with Hulk Hogan, you're probably going to get the best possible ovation if you do it right there in Tampa. And tomorrow, in just a couple of hours, it is going to be January 23rd, 2024, which marks the 40th anniversary of the birth of Hulkamania. And for you night owls out there, tonight at midnight Pacific time, so 3 a.m. on the East Coast, I am going to release my Hulkamania, 40 years of Hulkamania mic drop that I recorded today. It's done. It's ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that thing for you guys tonight, right at midnight, my time. It's about 35 minutes long. We talk about the career of Hulk Hogan, how it started, and a general overall run-through of his WWE days, his WCW days, and basically his whole entire career and all of my personal memories about his title win back in 1984 when I was just a kid beating the Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden. That match took place 40 years ago today, and that's just incredible. So I wanted to at least acknowledge the anniversary of what many people consider the birth of Hulkamania, and I talk plenty about the ugly underbelly of Hulkamania and Hulk Hogan's career as well in that video. So if you want to stay up late, catch it tonight, I'll drop it, or you can catch it tomorrow. But that is going to be on tap for tonight, so some extra bonus content. Then this coming Friday, we're going to do a Friday Winged Eagle right before SmackDown goes live. 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do a Winged Eagle, and we're going to predict the entire Royal Rumble card. I'm going to let you guys know who I think is going to win these Rumbles and win these matches. We'll also probably recap Dynamite and talk about any other wrestling news that is going around. We'll be doing that on Friday. And then this coming Saturday, live Royal Rumble watch party and review. It's going to be a blast. I cannot wait to watch this pay-per-view with you guys on Saturday. I am stoked. So it's a busy, busy week. Normally, we would be here on Sunday as well to do a classic watch along, but here in the States for NFL football fans, it's Championship Sunday. Normally, I would not give a shit about that, but my birthplace, my hometown of Detroit, is actually in a game that could potentially send them to the Super Bowl if they win. It's a family affair here in Morgan land, with my brother-in-law and sister being big Chiefs fans and the rest of the family being Lions fans. Both of these teams have a chance to go to the Super Bowl on Sunday, so I will be watching that with my family. So no classic watch along this Sunday. That's kind of what you can expect this week. But stay tuned later on tonight at midnight. I will drop that Hulkamania video for you, and that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys are having a great Monday night. Welcome to your Raw review, and happy Royal Rumble week. I'm ready for it, man. I think it's going to be a good one. We're going to talk about Raw in just a second. We're going to talk about what Seth Rollins said and what that means for his status heading into the Rumble, into WrestleMania, and what WWE might do with his injury as we go down the road to WrestleMania. But I want to welcome Divine Ricks. What's up, man? 17 months with us. Hey, Greg, here's my Royal Rumble prediction. Royal Rumble predictions. Roman retains, Logan retains, men's winner CM Punk, women's winner Bayley. I agree with all of it. I kind of feel like Logan Paul wouldn't win the championship just to drop it at the Royal Rumble. He's probably going to take that thing into WrestleMania. I don't really want to see him beat Kevin Owens. And I feel like Kevin Owens has gotten the shit end of the stick more often than not in some big championship matches, but it probably does make the most sense for Logan Paul to go into WrestleMania as champion. And maybe there can be a rematch there, but that might also be slated for LA Knight. LA Knight and Logan is definitely something I think they can do. I definitely think Roman should retain for sure. And Punk and Bayley is still who I am picking to win the Royal Rumble, although tonight Gunther made his made his intentions known, as he said that if he wins the Rumble, he's going to challenge Seth, which did surprise me. So we will be getting into all of that here in just a second. Also, Max Pokebro, good to see you. Channel members, Jay Lambo, Ken Webb, Dre, How Wheezy, Michael Johan. I'm sorry you missed Raw, but you're here for the review. Wouldn't that be funny if your name was Lindsay Johan? That would be funny. George Morris is in the house. Thanks, dude. Appreciate the $5. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? How is Tito? Raw, 0 out of 10. I just pre-ordered WWE 2K24. $120. Holy shit. Releases March 8th. Hulk Hogan 40th anniversary video. So yeah, help me out with the WWE 2K24. I've seen a couple of things, but I don't pay attention to video games. I thought Cody got the cover, but then I saw another thing where you're like voting for who gets the cover. So video game people, let me know what they're doing. I saw one thing with Rhea and Bianca. Maybe they're having the fans vote there, or maybe they're sharing a cover. I don't know. And then I know Punk mentioned Cody being on the cover. I don't even know. So just give me the rundown on what's going on with that damn video game. Good to see Jay Lambo. I think did I get you already? Yeah, I did. I did get Jay Lambo, but I didn't get Amato. What's up, bro? Glad you are back. You've got a 50-hour work week. My supervisor is not here, so I'm very busy. Here to hang out. Hope Raw was solid. Is the Rumble on Saturday or Sunday? The Rumble is Saturday. Can you get off work for that, Amato? Because we're going to be watching it here over at my house. Watch party on YouTube. It's going to be fun. Dre, always good to see you. JJ Leg is in the house. So is Reese Jones. My God, good to see Reese in here as well. Ben Espinoza, I'm not sure if I got you either. Good to see Denny Downbad. Danny Huckins is here, and our friend Barry. What's up, Barry? Appreciate you being here as well. And the Fiver from Hawaii. WWE 2K24 is going to be the third WWE game that has you play old WrestleMania matches. That's interesting. That has you play old WrestleMania matches? Like matchups from previous WrestleMania. You can't create that yourself on these games? I don't know anything about video games. I'm an illiterate idiot, but that's cool, Barry. I'm happy for you video gamers, if that's a nice feature on that one. The Juliet is here. So is Nick Musser. He's going to be at the Royal Rumble on Saturday and Raw next week. That's awesome. Tweet me over some pictures or anything interesting you might see while you are there. I'll definitely share it. Detroit 89. I didn't know you were from Detroit. Go Lions. I am. I was born in Pontiac, Michigan, right down the road from the Silverdome at Pontiac General Hospital in 1977. Lived there for 10 years and moved and haven't been back since. But I'm still very loyal to the Detroit teams, Wings, Tigers, Pistons, Lions. I've always remained loyal. I refuse to be a bandwagon jumper, and I'm loyal to my birthplace. So I've always just rooted for the Detroit teams and really no one else. I've rooted for the Padres and the Lakers because I do feel like they're kind of home teams for me, but they're not my first choice. Detroit is always number one, and then I'll pick some favorites under that. That's the way I roll. Joseph Boza is here as well. Good to see you. Stone Cold 10X. I see Zach Palgett. We got a good little audience in here. Anybody else that is chiming in that I've missed? Good to see you, Jose Lopez. I think I already got you. And then I start forgetting who I've gotten, who I haven't gotten. But anyway, welcome everyone. Raw tonight, the go-home show to the Royal Rumble. Lots and lots of unanswered questions going into tonight because Seth Rollins was injured last week in his championship match main event with Jinder Mahal. Injured his knee on a moonsault. Turned out, we heard this week, it was reported that he suffered a partially torn meniscus and a torn MCL. Rollins tonight was advertised to open up the show and address his injury and his future. So Rollins does open the show. His music plays. He's coming out there in Seth Rollins attire. He does seem a little bit somber, but at the same time, watching him walk out there, he wasn't on crutches. He didn't have, that much difficulty walking other than that noticeable limp and the knee brace on the outside of his knee to let you know it was there. And I kind of felt like when he was making his entrance, I was like, I don't know what they're going to do, but it definitely does not feel like we're going to get a title forfeiture here. I'm not feeling that energy. I don't see it in his face. I don't see it in his body language. Although as soon as he got in the ring and he took his glasses off, it looked like he was tearing up a little bit. He might have tried that backstage, trying to get some, I don't know, give me an onion, somebody, or rub some paprika in my eye or something. I don't know what he did, but when he took his glasses off, I was a little bit worried because he did seem, a little bit on the emotional side, but at the same time, I'm like, there's no way. And I said this last week in 2 of our podcasts. I said, whatever we hear about Seth's surgery, I really can't envision a scenario where they're going to rule him out of WrestleMania right now. It's mid-January. WrestleMania is in April. He does have enough time, about 10 weeks until we get to this show, unless he absolutely needs surgery and there's no way to work through this thing and the surgery recovery time is just too long. Like he said in his promo, surgery time is about 3 to 4 months. A recovery time after surgery is about 3 to 4 months. And the only way I could see them doing a forfeiture or a cash-in is if they just somehow determine that there's no way he's going to be able to make it. But based on MCL tears and meniscus tears, and this being an injury he's had before, and people have come back in a short amount of time from these things, I would really be surprised if they just said, nope, we're taking the belt off of him. He can't. He's not going to be able to defend it at WrestleMania. He's out. So I didn't think we were going to get that. But I did think it was possible we could get a cash-in from Damian Priest because since this championship is brand new, the last thing I want to see for your brand new championship is to have to forfeit the title. Your first champion have to forfeit the title. We just went through that a few years ago with the Universal title in another match involving Seth Rollins when Finn Balor had to do the same thing. So the last thing I wanted to see was Seth do that. If he had to forfeit the title, since you have Priest there with the briefcase, I would prefer Priest just come in and cash in so you actually have a title switch without having to vacate the championship. But luckily, we didn't get either one of those things because as Seth Rollins got in the ring, he acknowledged the injury and confirmed that it was a grade 2 MCL tear and a partially torn meniscus. He said that if he had surgery, the docs told him it would be about 3 to 4 months. And he basically says that it's not totally up to me. It's not like I can just say I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And before he can really finish his thought, Gunther's music hit. And that kind of made me worried. I'm like, Gunther, are they what are they doing here? I'm like, is he going to come out and attack Seth Rollins, and then Priest is going to come in and cash in the briefcase? All these things are running through my mind. And Gunther, I firmly believe, will be a world champion this year in 2024. And I feel like, either championship he could go for, really. But I didn't really see that for him at WrestleMania. Gunther is a big favorite in the Royal Rumble. If he was one of the last people in there, I wouldn't be surprised. There's been a lot of Brock Lesnar rumors as well about him returning at the Royal Rumble and a possible Gunther versus Brock Lesnar match, which I might actually prefer that for WrestleMania. I'm a big Gunther fan, maybe even the biggest, but I'm not sure if I really want to see Gunther win any titles at WrestleMania. I think Gunther's championship victories will come after WrestleMania. But what was cool about Gunther when he came to the ring, Seth is like, look, dude, I don't have time for this. So if all you fuckers are out here just to make an example out of me or just kill me or kick my ass, just get it over with. And Gunther says that he wants to tell him what he thinks of him. You and I haven't really seen much of each other, and I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to come out and tell you what I think of you, and kind of praises Seth and his work ethic, because that has been the big thing. He wants to be the fightingest champion, the workhorse champion, which is exactly in a lot of ways what Gunther has been. And Gunther basically says that he's going to win the Royal Rumble, and that when he does win the Royal Rumble, he's going to challenge Seth. So he says, when I win, I want to challenge you. And I was like, oh, okay, wow, because I have really been having a problem with that. If I've been mentioning it in a lot of podcasts lately, I mentioned it in my last 3 a lot, where I said, the only Rumble winner that would make sense that wouldn't want to challenge Roman would be CM Punk, because him and Seth have got this thing. I can't imagine any other winner going after Seth's title. It's a brand new title. Roman is the big champion right now with that long run. It just feels like you would get more notoriety, beating Roman Reigns and ending that long run than beating Seth. But maybe Gunther's motivation is, I'm a workhorse, you're a workhorse, I want to face you because I have the most, I don't know, maybe professional respect for you. But the championship and the prestige of the championship, if I'm a wrestler and I win the Royal Rumble, I want to take down Roman. I want to be the guy that does that, because the guy that does that is going to be remembered a lot more than the guy that beat Seth Rollins for his title. And that's why I felt like Rollins, if WWE needs to blow up the WrestleMania plans due to the Seth Rollins injury, I feel like they have to go back to Cody now. Cody has to win the Royal Rumble, because otherwise the Rumble winner would want to challenge Roman. And if Cody is the plan to challenge Roman at WrestleMania, then you kind of have to do Cody. So Gunther coming out and saying that, I think, is good, because it lets me know as a fan that, no, Greg, you're wrong. Not everybody is just going to want to automatically challenge Roman. I personally feel it should be that way. But WWE is letting you know, no, that's not really it. So they're keeping you guessing in terms of the Royal Rumble. And Rollins went on to say, now, if you would have just let me finish, I was about to say that I don't care what the doctors said, and I'm going to be champion, and I'm going to carry this title into WrestleMania. Before he was interrupted, he was kind of saying something like, oh, I'm going to take it day by day. And that's when Gunther interrupted. And then Seth was like, I was going to say, fuck the doctors. I'm determined to work through this. And he vows to be world champion going into WrestleMania. And that made me breathe a big sigh of relief, because I feel like it's going to happen. Seth is injured now. He's obviously not going to be defending the title at the Royal Rumble. He's probably out in terms of being in ring in Perth for Elimination Chamber. He might be there. And there's still the possibility of a cash-in between now and WrestleMania. But I feel like once Rollins said that, I intend on taking this championship into WrestleMania, means that WWE plans for him to do that as well. And this injury should not goof up WrestleMania plans, unless Seth Rollins' recovery between now and then isn't going well and they might have to pivot or change direction. But it sounds like they are going to try anyway to go with the already working plan. Maybe Gunther coming out was a way to lay groundwork for a contingency. I don't know. But if Rollins is making his intentions known to keep the title until WrestleMania, now I'm kind of back on my original Rumble prediction that it should be CM Punk. And we'll be talking about Punk here in just a minute. So Seth, after Gunther tells him that if he wins the Royal Rumble, he's going to come after Seth Rollins, and Rollins says, that's fine, but just remember who you're coming after. And Gunther was like, you better worry about who's coming after you. So that was a cool little exchange there. And then Gunther leaves. I think they even shake hands, which I liked. And Gunther goes to leave with the rest of Imperium, and that's when Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston jump the barricade and attack the two of them. And there is a tag team match that's going to open up the show anyway between Vinci and Ludwig and the New Day. So we go to commercial during that brawl. We come back. It's Vinci and Ludwig versus the New Day. This thing is getting a little bit personal with these two teams, especially with Kofi being taken out and Xavier getting revenge and having a little bit more of a meaner streak in him. And this brawl that they had before the match spilled over into the match. It turned out to be a double count out because neither team could get back in the ring. They were just beating the shit out of each other on the outside of the ring. The referee calls for the bell and DQs, or I'm sorry, counts out both teams. They continue to brawl into the crowd, and they do this really great sequence on the equipment cases. I think Xavier's got like Ludwig up there first, and he's about to suplex him off, and then Vinci comes in to stop it, and then Kofi comes in to stop that. They all wind up there, all four of them, and Kofi and Xavier kind of hit both guys with like a little miniature spear and tackle them both off the equipment case through a couple of tables that were laying there on the ground. So still, nothing is resolved between these two teams, and this is where it ties into my Big E prediction that I made a few weeks ago. I think it was right around before the holidays or something. I started thinking about Big E, and I started thinking about the return that Edge had back in 2020 and how amazing that was, and that feeling and that emotion that it gave you. And I'm like, if Big E is healthy, I have no idea what his recovery status is, even if he's even going to wrestle again. I have no damn clue, but in my mind, he's been kind of quiet lately. I would just love for him to come back. And he did speak on his injury just a few days ago, saying there's no real timetable, wants to make sure he makes the right decision, but the bones are healed. Everything that he said there kind of implies that he could get back in the ring if he wanted to. He just wants to make sure it's right with his doctors, and that could have been a way just to stall us a little bit more. And I'm starting to lean towards the likelihood of him being at the Royal Rumble and being an entrant in the Royal Rumble than not. That's how confident I'm starting to get about this prediction. And how cool would it be, since we have all of this animosity between New Day and Imperium? I feel like my prediction might come true, because what if it's Gunther and Ludwig and Vinci and Kofi and Xavier in the ring together in the Royal Rumble, just the five of them? Hell, maybe the five of them start the Rumble. Maybe they come out boom, boom, boom. 1 through 5 is Imperium and New Day. And then Gunther, Vinci, and Ludwig are beaten down Kofi and Xavier. 10, 9, 8. You know the rest. Big E coming out. I feel like they could recreate and perhaps even best the emotion and the feeling we got when Edge came back 4 years ago, because then we were doing it on the same day that Kobe died in that helicopter crash. So it was a little too hard to get too emotionally happy about Edge's return, but Big E doing it, coming back, after that injury and his career being threatened, I think would really give the fans a moment, and I think it would be awesome. So I'm hoping that happens, because that would be awesome. A New Day would be reunited. I've been mentioning them too. Big E's been out for a while. If WWE felt internally that Big E was never going to return, if it just appears that he's probably going to have to unfortunately retire due to this injury, and they knew that, or they weren't thinking that Big E was going to be back anytime soon, I feel like they might want to do something else with Xavier and Kofi before Kofi's career runs out. New Day's been going for a long time, but if Big E's never going to come back, you could just leave Xavier and Kofi together as a tag team, I suppose. But you might want to get something else out of them if New Day can really never be the same again. But they've really been treading water, and they've stayed together throughout this whole thing, this whole recovery time of Big E, which makes me wonder why they're even keeping New Day together, just to tread water on the roster, never really do anything that new or of any sort of substance. And here they're kind of involved in this Imperium angle, and it's been lasting several weeks, and it's getting more and more personal, more and more vicious. Feel like the table is set in my mind. So we will see if my prediction comes true on Big E. One prediction I hope does not come true is Hulk Hogan showing up in the Royal Rumble, which I think he actually might on Saturday. But we'll be watching it together. We cut backstage after that. Rhea Ripley is back there with the rest of the Judgment Day, and she's giving them all some orders. And by the way, I was without speech with Rhea Ripley's, what she was wearing. My God, this woman is ridiculous. If she says bark, I'll say how loud. So Rhea is instructing basically the Judgment Day to get their shit together. She wants a more vicious Finn Balor and orders the crew to go out there and get things done tonight because Dominic has a match against The Miz later on. Then we're back in the ring. Speaking of women looking nice tonight, Maxine was there backing up Ivy Nile. A little interview at Gorilla before Ivy went out with her for her match against Valhalla, and Ivy Nile got the win there over Valhalla in a nice little match. Then we had a Nia Jax promo. Big win over Becky Lynch recently, and Nia Jax comes out and starts talking shit about Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. That prompts Becky Lynch to come out, and she comes out and she goes, "Shut your mouth, you dope." And she said, "Congratulations for beating me. Now you have something else to talk about for the next 5 years," which I thought was a pretty funny line. And she gets in the ring, starts jawing with Nia Jax, and that's when Bayley comes out. Bayley, from Damage Control, makes a surprise appearance here. She gets in the ring. She talks a little bit. Not for long. She immediately attacks Becky Lynch, and there is a brawl, and there is a manhandle slam to Bayley, and then Nia Jax grabs Becky Lynch and throws her over the top rope, and basically signifying that she can do that again at the Royal Rumble. And I kind of think she will. The way I feel like this should go, because Nia Jax beat Becky Lynch a couple of weeks ago, I feel like in the Rumble, Nia Jax also needs to eliminate Becky Lynch. Nia Jax eliminates Becky Lynch, but doesn't win the Rumble, but does eliminate Becky Lynch. Then Nia Jax goes to Elimination Chamber to challenge Rhea Ripley for the championship, basically earning that championship by beating Becky Lynch and tossing her over the top rope in the Royal Rumble. She gets the match against Ripley. Ripley then retains the title. Becky Lynch wins the Elimination Chamber. Then Becky Lynch goes to WrestleMania to face Rhea Ripley, and perhaps Becky Lynch wins the title, and then when she does, you revisit Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax for the championship, probably at like Backlash or something, where Becky Lynch gets her win back. That's the way I'd book it. But then again, I'm not sure if I even want to see Rhea Ripley drop her title to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, because I love Rhea Ripley. She's the best. Dominic versus The Miz was up next. We had Finn Balor out there, and incidentally, regarding Finn Balor, I saw a tweet today from Raj Giri where he was claiming that the people that he's heard from have said that Finn Balor's contract is up after WrestleMania, and he has not yet been approached for a renewal. Now, I don't know if this is valid or, can be confirmed in any way. This is just something that he had heard. And, it does make you wonder about Finn Balor, who is also now, 41, 42 years old, perhaps. He's been in the company for about 9 years. And at this point, honestly, where do you feel and where do you stand on Finn Balor in the WWE? Is he somebody that you still believe has a chance to be pushed hard enough to win a world championship? I'm not so sure. I thought maybe this could have been his year, but at WrestleMania, he lost that Hell in the Cell to Edge in a match that I predicted he would win. And I'm like, if WWE's not going to put him over against Edge when Edge is about to leave the company, I don't know if the Demon or Finn Balor is ever going to be able to be world champion again, even with 2 world championships back in the company. I'm not sure. So if Finn Balor is not yet re-upped with the company, and there's all this dissension still in the Judgment Day, they might be setting up for his exit out of Judgment Day, especially if Damian Priest successfully cashes in the briefcase, and then him and Balor, implode. They drop the tag team titles. There is a tag team title match next week, by the way. And then maybe Priest defends against Balor. Maybe Balor is Damian Priest's first opponent. Loser not only leaves Judgment Day, but loser leaves WWE, and Priest beats him, and Finn Balor goes to AEW. Finn Balor is one guy I wouldn't mind in AEW, especially with, a lot of people that are currently there already. Like Will Ospreay and others. I think there's a lot of awesome matches that Finn Balor could have over there if he decided to make the jump, or some other people like Okada. When Okada finally signs with somebody, I'm personally hoping it's WWE. Finn Balor is one guy that I don't think I would mind making the jump. he just based on like where he is, I feel like Balor could go over there and kind of do what Joe did and perhaps win the championship. I think Finn Balor could be a world champion in AEW. I'm not so sure if he can be one in WWE anymore, based on how they've used him in the past few years. But he's currently a tag team champion, so we'll see. But if there's any truth to these reports about his contract status, the speculation about his contract, if any of this turns out to be true, and he does, and his deal is up at the end of WrestleMania, and he hasn't re-signed yet, they might be laying the groundwork for his departure right now. So we should pay attention to that if that does, in fact, become the case. After the Dominic and Miz match, by the way, Finn Balor did do what Rhea Ripley asked and interfered in this match, helping Dominic beat the Miz, hit him with a frog splash for the win. And then after the match, they continue the beatdown on the Miz, and that's when DIY runs in to make the save. Now, DIY has a title shot against Judgment Day next week. However, when they came out and made the save here, the fans were largely quiet. I feel like Ciampa and Gargano, I personally love them both, but I think they're Triple H guys, and I think Triple H is trying their best, his best with them. I'm not sure if their theme music is really catching on yet. They don't feel like the DIY of old, and the fans were largely, it felt like they weren't really reacting to them coming out and making the save, and it was kind of funny seeing Ciampa and Miz back side by side again. These two guys need to have a conversation to decide if they're friends or not. So I'm worried. I'm not feeling a title change next week with Priest and Balor, but I really would like to see DIY get over and win the tag team titles. And we still have to wonder when and if they are ever going to consolidate or unconsolidate or split back up these tag team championships, because having these red and blue belts are driving me fucking crazy. And when we heard that story a few months ago now of WWE screen testing new championship belts for the tag team division, I was excited, and then it never materialized. So we don't even know what's going on with that. But at some point, I'll give him until after WrestleMania, and then I'm just going to lose my patience with it because it's been over a year of this shit. Figure out what you're going to do with those titles and streamline those and clean them up, because it's too messy, too much gold, too many belts. That's my suggestion to Triple H. Up next, we had Damian Priest interview. So he's backstage talking about his main event match with Drew McIntyre later tonight. And he's approached by R-Truth, who's got a big fat stack for him. Hey, here's your cut for the Tom and Nick merchandise, which is interesting why Priest gets a cut of that. And he goes, man, we got to talk about JD. He added me on Venmo, and he got a dirty history, man. And that's when Priest interrupts him. So Truth says JD added him on Venmo. And it's funny, too. I use Venmo sometimes for work, and I see people on there that I have not spoken to in like 12 or 13 years paying their mom for a taco. And I'm like, why is all this shit so easily available? I don't understand. So apparently JD spends his money on some weird shit, according to R-Truth. And Priest basically just interrupts him. And he's like, dude, not now. Not now. I appreciate your comedy, but this is not the time, and bugger off. So R-Truth splits. Then we get a little pre-tape from Bronson Reed where he challenges Jey Uso to a match next week on Raw. So we're going to get Jey Uso and Bronson Reed. Neither one of these men will be winning the Royal Rumble, but they'll be going one-on-one next week, at least we assume. This match was way better than I thought it would be. Chad Gable versus Ivar. My God, this one was so fun. This is awesome chance. Fans loved it. Gable, just little fucking pit bull being in there with Ivar. It gave you a lot of Gable and Gunther vibes, because Gable had lots of those feats of strength, those incredible bridge suplexes on a guy as big as Ivar. Ivar had just an amazing floating moonsault that he missed. This match was fun. Valhalla did interfere in this, helping Ivar get the win, which kind of sucks, but I'm not giving up hope on Chad Gable just yet. I still think he needs to be the guy to take the Intercontinental title off of Gunther sometime very, very soon. And I feel like, obviously not this year, but 1 year in the future, I think Gable, in the near future, Gable should get the enter at number one and win the whole thing Rumble victory. He should get a Rey Mysterio or a Chris Benoit or a Shawn Michaels type of Rumble performance where he comes in at number one and outlasts everybody and wins the fucking thing. I really feel like That's something he needs. They should make another Kurt Angle out of this guy and do it while he is at his physical peak, and don't wait 8 more years to pull the trigger on this guy. Do it in 2024. At least give him some Intercontinental gold. We can start there, and then if he continues to impress and grow and evolve into a megastar ass kicker like Gunther currently is, then we can start talking about those Rumble victories for Gable in the future. But he's got to get that first belt first. And I think beating Gunther for the IC would be a good little springboard for Gable. So let's hope that's still in the plans and they don't sabotage this dude, because I think he's a fucking main eventer. And I would like to think that Triple H thinks that too. Then it was time. Segment of the night for me. I loved this. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk face-to-face. They've been advertising this for a week. Cody comes to the ring first. He doesn't get a chance to say anything, and Punk is out right behind him. Punk comes to the ring, so we get Cody's music, Cult of Personality for Punk. Punk comes in the ring, approaches Cody right away, and the two share a nice little handshake. I'm like, okay, that's nice to see. So this is a moment here between these two guys, because, let me know in the chat too, what do you guys know about the history between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes? I know these guys have never been best friends, but I also know they have had some interactions in the past, which Punk acknowledged here, and we'll talk about in a minute. But, when Punk came into AEW, a lot of people were like, oh, how's this going to affect Cody? And what's going to happen when Punk and Cody get in the ring together, in a promo? And I think maybe things have been said about one another on interviews, perhaps, or podcasts throughout the years. I'm not sure if the relationship was really super strong between those two. Some people speculated that it was Punk was the reason that Cody left AEW, which I don't really believe was the case, but the timing was strange, and we never got a chance to see the two of them do anything together in AEW while Punk was there. So now, full circle, they're both in WWE now. Cody is kind of the guy there, and now Punk is coming in with all of this popularity, and even right off the bat, the CM Punk chants were loud. And it wasn't even like dueling chants. It wasn't like Cody Punk, Cody Punk. It was all CM Punk, which has got to get in the head of Cody Rhodes a little bit, you would think. But in terms of any other personal issues that they have, or is there anything that I'm forgetting? Was there a specific incident? Was there an incident that took place between these two guys that I'm not aware of that caused a little bit of heat or whatnot? But seeing them in the ring together in a WWE environment and a WWE ring was going to be really safe. In AEW, I could worry about issues boiling up, but in WWE, I just think in this system, neither guy is going to really be allowed to go into business for himself, and I certainly don't think that Punk is going to be pulling any shit since he's in WWE. He's going to be on his best behavior. So they had a chance to get this promo done, and it was really, really good. And it gave me that feeling of, Austin and Rock having a promo in the Attitude Era. Yes, I know it's not the same thing, but that's kind of the vibe and the energy it gave to me, and I loved it. And Punk said, Royal Rumble is this Saturday. Hopefully on Sunday morning we will still be friends, but I think we both need to take a moment just to enjoy this moment right now of the two of them being in the ring and the fans soaking it up. And Punk went on to speak first. He said that he wants to talk about Cody's dad. I want to talk about your dad, he said. And he said, long ago, your dad called me up and asked me to keep an eye on his son, who's going to be reporting to OVW and starting his wrestling career. And he said that, he acknowledged that they didn't know each other that well, but still, and that Punk wasn't really even that far into his WWE wrestling career yet when Dusty made that call to him. So I don't know how true any of this is. But he said that he appreciated Dusty entrusting him watching over his son. And he goes, you didn't need a babysitter. You were fine. You never got yourself in trouble. You were well behaved. Any trouble you did get in, you were able to talk out of yourself, and you were an absolute professional. And I've been able to watch you grow from a developmental kid, to a main event world champion caliber wrestler. And I got to say, I'm proud of you. And kind of gave Cody the little endorsement there. And then it was Cody's turn to talk. And he goes, I was a total nepotism hire, which he's always said. But I mean, I kind of argue, though, that Cody, let's say he wasn't related to Dusty Rhodes at all. I mean, with Cody's amateur background and that credibility, his look, and his athleticism, I think Cody had enough tools to get a developmental deal on his own. If his last name was Smith, it was Cody Smith coming in, I think they would have hired him. Now, they might not have, given him maybe some of the opportunities that he got because of being Dusty's son, but at least getting in the door, getting a job and a chance to prove yourself, I think Cody would have gotten that even without the Rhodes name. So Cody shouldn't sell himself short at all. But whether or not he would have had the career that he has now without that name, who knows? But I definitely think he could have gotten hired for sure. And Punk says that Cody, got hired because of his last name. He got to start on third base, where in Punk's case, his dad was an electrician. And Punk had to work for everything that he got. And he's more the American dream than you are, as he points to Cody, which was pretty cool. And then Cody barks back and says, let's talk about the pipe bomb. That pipe bomb, you sat right up there. It inspired an entire generation of fans to become wrestlers. And when you left, you didn't pass the torch. You dropped it on the ground. And I'm the one that picked it up. And that makes me more CM Punk than you. And that's when Punk takes off his jacket. They get in each other's face. They nearly come to blows. That great, face nose-to-nose shot, that great screenshot there was so awesome. And Punk eventually leaves the ring, and the two part without fighting and coming to blows. But it was a really cool segment. Very fun to see those two in the ring for the first time. WWE has not rushed anything. Punk came back all the way at Survivor Series. And Punk has mentioned Cody. Cody has mentioned Punk. They did have a backstage face-to-face, when Punk first got back, but they haven't rushed anything here. And they've planted that seed, letting you know that at some point in the future, we're going to get a Cody Rhodes and CM Punk match on pay-per-view. That's going to happen. It might not happen for a while, because if Cody does, in fact, hypothetically win the Elimination Chamber, challenge Roman for the title, and beat him on night 2, Cody's on SmackDown now. Is he not? How does that work? Are they going to reconcile that somehow? Are they going to acknowledge that? You would think that Pierce and Aldis, if that winds up happening, Cody could win the Rumble or he could win Chamber. But if the plan is for him to challenge Roman and that actually happens, you would think Aldis and Pierce would have to get together for some competition, some compensation. If Raw loses Cody to SmackDown, what does Raw get in return? You know what I mean? Maybe Roman and the Bloodline come to Raw. That's possible as well. So a lot is up in the air, but if Cody ends up going to SmackDown after winning the title and Punk is still on Raw, we might not get these two guys crossing paths again for a little while. So it just depends. Everything is still very much up in the air at this point. And we didn't hear much talk about The Rock or anything like that tonight either. So I'm hoping, I kind of want to just forget about him and wish he was out of the picture. And that's pretty crazy to me. That's praise on WWE, the fact that they can have their shit be so exciting that I don't want anything to do with The Rock. I'm perfectly fine with everything and all the stories they currently have in place. Rollins and Punk and Cody and Roman and Gunther, where all these people are in their careers, I'm happy with that. I don't need The Rock to be a part of WrestleMania at all. So if he is, hell, maybe it is like we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. People have been mentioning maybe he is just there in a referee enforcer capacity, and maybe they do something with Roman and Rock similar to John Cena, where Rock is just going to be a part of WrestleMania this year, maybe gets involved in a match or something, and then after that they set up a match for WrestleMania 41, which gives The Rock a whole year to get in shape for the match. Again, I don't know, but I would prefer that over waiting until WrestleMania 41 for Cody, that's for sure. So everything is still kind of up in the air. You have to wonder when these matches are going to happen. I want to see Punk and Rollins. I want to see Cody and Roman. I want to see Cody and Rollins. I want to see Cody and Gunther and Rollins and Gunther. I want to see Gunther and Brock. I want to see Gunther and Roman. There's so many matches that I want to see. And with a lot of these big pay-per-views coming up, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Crown Jewel, international shows like Backlash in France. We got Elimination Chamber in Perth. And who knows, what else are they doing? They got Money in the Bank is coming to Toronto. There's going to be some hot markets, hot towns, hot cities in the next few months leading all the way up until SummerSlam. We have some big money pay-per-view matches in our future if everything goes absolutely perfectly. So fingers crossed for that. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark were up next. They defeated Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae in a little cool down match from the Cody and Punk promo. Zoe pinned Candice there. And then Damage Control showed up. The champs came in the ring for a little face-off with, or I'm sorry, Damage Control came in the ring for a face-off with the champs, who were at ringside to watch the tag team match. So Caden and the other one were at ringside. They come in and get attacked by Damage Control, and they have a tag team title match this Friday on SmackDown. And I kind of hope Damage Control wins. I hope Caden and the other one were just transitional champions. Those two do nothing for me. Like nothing. I have no interest at all in the women's tag team division, really, until Chelsea Green came around and made it fun again. But I just, I have nothing against Caden or the other one. I wish them both the best in their careers. I just have no interest in them as a team. Their promos are so fucking cringe, and that nightclub shit, and all of it is just doesn't appeal to Greg. Might appeal to some, just doesn't appeal to Greg. So I hope that Damage Control beats them on Friday. Then it was time for the main event, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Pretty much just bragging rights here. Nothing really on the line for this one. Both men are going to be in the Rumble. At least I assume Priest will be. And this was a pretty good match, hard hitting, typical shit. And the finish was pretty fun, or the ending was pretty fun, because after these guys beat the hell out of each other for about 15 minutes, R-Truth showed back up again at ringside, this time during the match. So first, he's trying to give Damian Priest his merchandise cut during an interview, which is bad enough. Now he comes out there to give Priest his cut during the main event of Raw, when he's in there against a former WWE champion and somebody that's not to be trifled with in Drew McIntyre. And he's coming out there trying to give him the money, and Priest is getting pissed. He gets back in the ring to deal with McIntyre, and then R-Truth grabs the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he wants to put the money in the briefcase for safekeeping for Drew McIntyre, for Damian Priest. But the problem is there's a combination. He needs the code. Hey man, what's your code? And so he's yelling into the ring from ringside to get the code to the briefcase, and Priest isn't answering him. So then Truth gets up on the apron. I need your password. What's your password? And that was enough to cause a distraction. Money goes flying everywhere, and Priest gets really pissed when R-Truth finds his way in the ring, because I think McIntyre brought him in. The money goes flying. The referee is dealing with all of this, and Priest gets really pissed because he had Drew down in a pin. He hit him with his finisher thing, and he's got him pinned, but Truth is in there distracting the ref. So Priest gets mad, grabs Truth, throws him out of the ring. You knew what was coming. Claymore to the face. Down goes Priest. 1, 2, 3. McIntyre gets the win, and Priest is now probably pretty fed up with R-Truth and him being in the Judgment Day. What a rib it would be. What if this whole persona by R-Truth is just one big ruse? What if he's just pretending to be the dumbest motherfucker in the world, and then as soon as he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, his whole entire induction speech, he sounds like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Starts talking about wormholes and shit. That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Turns out he was a genius the whole time, disguised as an idiot, just to troll us, just to rib us, because that's the type of jokes R-Truth likes to play. You know that it was terrible, but they remade Dumb and Dumber. Terrible movie. 20 years later, and like Jim Carrey pretended to be like in a wheelchair for 20 years just as a joke. Like something like that would be funny if R-Truth at the very end revealed that, he's some worldly scholar or something. I think would be great. So I feel bad for Truth, because now I feel like he's going to get in trouble with the Judgment Day, and you hate to see that, because I've really enjoyed Truth with the Judgment Day in a lot of the same ways that I enjoyed Sammy with the Bloodline. It has a lot of the same vibes, except this might just be a little bit too goofy because Truth seems completely clueless, where Sammy, I don't know what was wrong with Sammy. I don't know what his deal was with Truth. Truth, I'm not sure which planet he's on. I'm not sure if it's the same one that all of us are on, which is why it makes him great. So anyway, there you go. There's your Raw in a nutshell. Look at that. We got that done in 1 damn hour. What else do you guys want to talk about? Hit me with questions. Hit me with comments. Hit me with shit in the chat that I can potentially discuss with y'all. We have Population 420 gifting out 5-star with a membership. That's very awesome of you, my friend. I've met you. It's so cool, like seeing some of your names in the chat now. I'm like, oh, I've met you. I've met you. I've met you. I like that. I like that. Reading some of these comments here. What's up, Jake, the aerial assassin? Good to see you. Jordan Smith, Hogan can't be in the Rumble. 70 barely walk. If he was going to be in it, it would be a surprise, not spoil it ahead of time. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they're spoiling anything. I think the mention of Hulk Hogan tonight was maybe to plant a little bit of a seed. And also tomorrow is not something that WWE is going to be able to avoid. Tomorrow is the 40th anniversary of Hulk Hogan's title win over the Iron Sheik in 1984. And the Rumble is in Tampa. Hogan has said throughout the years, even recently, that he still wants to try to have a match. Of course, Jordan, it sounds ridiculous and ludicrous to you and me and everybody else because of his age and the fact that he's, 90% titanium in his body and he's got all these artificial parts and he's hunchbacked and he waddles around. But if you protect him right, he could potentially come in the Rumble and they could be careful with him. Obviously, he can't take a big top rope bump and flat back on the ground. We know that. But if you get him in the ring and enough guys kind of gently throw him over, I think it could maybe be accomplished. I don't want to see it at all, but I have a feeling that we might hear Real American in the Royal Rumble. And Hulk Hogan, 40 years after his title win, 40 years and just a couple of days after he came to the WWE and beat the Iron Sheik, he actually gets in the ring and is in technically a match. And that will be his final thing he ever does. 40 years after he won the title for that very same company, getting in the Royal Rumble, being tossed out. There's your cap, your lid on your career. You're done forever now. You guys are going to hear plenty of my thoughts tonight at midnight when I drop my Hulk Hogan 40th anniversary video. But if that happened, even though I have no respect for Hulk Hogan as a human being at all, I don't know. I'd oddly be okay with it, just provided it was done right, executed right, didn't take away from anything else, and was just a nice little fun part of the Rumble. Sure. And it would be a surprise, would it not? And I think if they did that, perhaps, maybe even like before Big E, like if Big E is going to come in too, do Hogan first, do Hogan early, just get that out of the way and then wait a little longer and then have the Big E return. I think Hogan, Big E, and Brock Lesnar could all be in this Royal Rumble. Hulk Hogan, listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Hulk Hogan in a Royal Rumble in 2024 is just wild. I can't even think about it. It might happen though. Hulk Hogan's going to win. Hulk Hogan's going to come in at number 1 and win the Royal Rumble in 2024. That's what they're going to do. Yeah, I kind of want the Kabukis to win back the titles as well. Ciampa and Gargano got a good reaction last week, didn't they? I don't remember. It just felt like this one tonight just felt like the crowd wasn't doing much. Maybe I didn't have the volume on very loud, so maybe I misread the situation or whatever. It just didn't feel like the crowd was super duper into it. You know what I mean? And that sucks because I think Triple H likes them. JJ Leg does not feel AEW would put the title on Finn. Much rather see Drew and Sheamus to AEW. Well, I kind of feel like McIntyre's going to stick around. Sheamus, I could see going to AEW. I actually could. I could see him going there. I don't know what the rules are with trademarks, because I've heard things like you can't trademark a first name. But then again, maybe you can't use the same name you used in WWE. Maybe there's a contractual thing there. But part of me thinks if Sheamus went to AEW, he could be Sheamus. But maybe not. Or maybe you have to add a last name to him. Christian has to be Christian Cage in AEW, so maybe Sheamus would have to be Sheamus Cage or Sheamus Copeland, and he can rekindle his friendship with Edge. That would be awesome. But Balor, I think I could see Balor. I think Balor could maybe win the title there, but it also couldn't happen. I just feel like he's got maybe a better shot there than he does in WWE. That was kind of my point. Bailey don't belong here. She don't even go here. Yeah, I made a Rhea Ripley tweet and a Maxine tweet, and then by the time we got to Dakota Kai, I'm like, I better not. I've already made 2 thirst tweets tonight. Better not do a third. Report Kevin Patrick set to be removed from the SmackDown commentary team. Well, you got to give me more than that. There are reports I trust and reports I don't. So it just depends on where that report came from. I have not seen anything like that today, unless it's something new, which it very well might be. But we did see they went back to two-man teams, and Kevin Patrick, it doesn't feel like he's been able to work for very long with this two-man setup. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really believing too much on. If you see any news like on a Facebook fan page or something, just get it straight from the source. But I do know it does definitely feel like Kevin Patrick could be in danger at some point on the commentary team. But there's lots of good options out there right now. So if they lose Patrick, they should be able to bring someone in pretty good. We will see. Okay, so thank you for this. Okay, so earlier I asked about the WWE 2K24 game shit because I was curious. I was like, well, Cody's on it, but then I saw something with Ripley and Bianca, so I wasn't sure. Zach says, different editions of the game gets a different cover. There are 3 different editions. Okay, so Cody's got the official cover, and then Rhea and Bianca got the deluxe edition. Okay, I got it. Well, that's good. Spread the love a little bit, you know. Rhea and Bianca, I've been saying for a couple of years now, they're the women's division, Orton and Cena. And I think they're Brett and Shawn. They've got those trajectories that are going to kind of parallel each other. And I think given their age and where they are in their career, you know, their rivalry could span, you know, another decade plus. And that's awesome. I think the two women should build the biggest possible legacies for themselves that they can, because they are going to probably be 1 and 1A, you know, of this new crop of women's wrestlers after the initial 4 horsewomen crop came through. Now it's the Ripley and Bianca show, and I like them both. So WWE is in good shape with their women because they got a couple of good ones at the top. That's for damn sure. They should bring back Jerry for commentary. Michael Johan says, are you crazy, Jerry Lawler? No way. Pat McAfee would be great. Vic Joseph would be great. Nigel McGuinness would be great, but he's in AEW. Oh, thank you for that, Ronnie. I was not imagining it. The crowd did not give a shit about DIY. Well, they fucking should, because I give a shit about them. I like them. Sometimes the crowd just doesn't. Reese, you could be right about that. Even though I really, really want to see Caden and the other one drop the tag team titles on Friday, I'm not sold on it. I think it could be also used to further the issue between Bayley and Io, because if Bayley wins the Rumble, that's going to potentially cause some problems. But I also thought having a lot of gold in there as well, you know, might help alienate Bayley some more. And I'm not really sure when the split is going to happen. Like, are they going to try to carry damage control? Like, if hypothetically Bayley wins the Rumble, are they going to try to keep it? They can't keep it friendly, because otherwise Bayley would just go challenge Rhea Ripley. So Bayley's going to want to choose, or probably decide to choose, Io Sky. So something's going to happen to create enough animosity there for her to choose Io Sky. Maybe she wins the Rumble and it's all happiness and celebration and damage control at first, because Bayley hasn't announced who she's going to face yet. Oh, I'm going to wait a couple of weeks or whatever, but, you know, I'm going to challenge Rhea. Don't worry. It's not going to be you, Io. And then on TV, a couple things happen in a match or whatever, a little miscommunication or animosity, or Bayley overhears damage control talking shit about her again or something like that. And then she's like, you know what? I'm going to change my mind, challenge Io Sky. And then Bayley's, I guess, a babyface going into WrestleMania. So Bayley beating Io Sky for the title, or Becky beating Rhea Ripley for the title. If those are going to be our 2 women's championship matches at WrestleMania, do we see 2 title changes or just 1? Last year, I had the same argument. I picked Bianca to retain over Asuka because I felt like Rhea Ripley was going to beat Charlotte. And I didn't think that really Asuka winning and defeating Bianca after that run that she was on was something they were going to do alongside Ripley and Charlotte. So I was right on that one. Maybe this year it's the same thing. Maybe they'll change one, but not both. And that tends to be the case a lot. So if either title is going to change hands, I feel like it would almost make more sense for Bayley to beat Io Sky than Becky to beat Rhea Ripley. But I don't know. I don't know how much longer Rhea Ripley's going to run with her title. I almost think she might need to lose it just to avoid having the fans, you know, start talking her the way they talk about Roman, who's holding the title too long, and fans have no attention span, no patience whatsoever. So anytime something gets a little bit too long for them, they start shitting their pants, and it's just funny. So I feel like at some point Triple H might not want to have every champion hold the title forever, because now you've got Bianca was on that year-long run, right? Now you got Ripley's holding it for over a year, and Gunther, of course, he's held the Intercontinental title since 1982, and Roman Reigns has been WWE champion since the Eisenhower administration. So we've had a lot of long title runs here, and I'm not sure if they can really all be like that. So at some point, people got to be coughing up their championships, you know what I mean? And this might be a big year for that if Cody beats Roman and Gable beats Gunther, Becky beats Ripley. Wow. Jesse Ventura to replace Kevin Patrick. I don't think so. Mauro Ranallo would be fun to see him come back in. I'm not sure if he ever will, though. Put Seth on SmackDown's commentary team to scout WrestleMania opponents. That's a good idea as well. Max, I hope you're right about that. That's what I think you should happen, because Bayley, I don't want to see Bayley made to look stupid in this, because Bayley's not stupid. Bayley's very cunning, and she's sneaky as shit too. And she's not going to allow herself to be abused or manipulated or anything like that by Damage Control. You would think she's going to beat them to the punch, and she should be able to sniff out that these hoes are going to turn on her, and she's going to attack them instead. And I'm going to pick you or whatever. And you still got to wonder about Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné. I also believe that she's probably going to go to AEW, but like I said in my last podcast, until she walks out there, what can you really believe? Because you got the Royal Rumble coming up. Triple H pulls some 11th hour deal to get her in. After all, the belief was that she was going to turn up in AEW, and, we get another surprise there. She would fit in beautifully, and she'd be plugged right into that equation nicely with Bayley and Damage Control, especially if you brought in like Naomi too, and then it's Mercedes and Naomi and Sasha. I'm sorry, Sasha, Naomi, and Bayley. Mercedes won't be there. Maybe Mercedes will go to AEW and Sasha Banks will go to WWE. That's what they should do. And then Bayley will have a lot of backup up against Damage Control. That could work. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just trying to think. Man, you could put the tag titles on Sasha and Naomi again if she came back. And there's all sorts of stuff you can do. So the Rumble should be interesting. Not only could the men have some big-time surprises, so could the women, with some surprise entrances there, especially since we don't truly know 100% the status of Sasha Banks, a.k.a. Mercedes Moné. I think I want to see her go back to WWE just so we can get that Sasha Banks music, because I fucking hate her music. Moné. Am I not the only one that just thinks it's the dumbest sounding shit? Fucking Jump by Crisscross background beat, and then her just going Moné. It's probably the worst theme song I've ever heard. And I love Mercedes Moné. I think she's a great women's wrestler. She's a bona fide superstar. Just got to do something about that theme song. Crazy. Juliet, thank you for that. Kofi and Gunther for the IC title next week on Raw. Wow, that's a big one. That's a real big one. That makes me think that Big E's not coming back now. The fact that they've already announced that. And plus, I'm not sure if I really agree with them announcing too many things for Raw. What if Gunther wins the Royal Rumble? Is he going to want to be bothered with a Kofi Kingston title defense right now since he just won the Rumble? He's going to have to open the show, talk about his victory, who he's going to challenge, and then the world champion's got to come down to the ring and get in his face and do all of that. So in a way, Kofi and Gunther for the IC title next week on Raw spoils the fact that Gunther's not winning the Rumble. I know that might be a stretch to some, but I've been watching wrestling long enough to know what this shit means. And I feel like there's no way Gunther's going to win the Rumble now if he's booked in an IC title match next week against Kofi. Because if Gunther wins the Rumble, he has bigger fish to fry, and he's going to have much bigger people he needs to be in the ring with if he appears and goes into Monday Night Raw as the Royal Rumble winner. So Gunther is out. He's not winning it. That's what the IC title match tells me. So we have that set up. We have the tag team title match next week. We're also going to have probably the Royal Rumble winner. That's another thing you have to think about. SmackDown is like a whole nother week away from the Royal Rumble, the next SmackDown, where Raw is just a day and a half. So, the men's Rumble winner really needs to be a Raw person, in my mind. And the women's Rumble winner being Bayley would be much better to delay until Friday's SmackDown, where the men's winner, you're going to want to see them right off the bat. And that's why CM Punk and Cody, it's going to be one of them, and I really hope it's CM Punk. My hope for WrestleMania is Punk winning the Rumble, Cody winning the Chamber, Rollins beats Punk and retains the title, and then loses in a cash-in situation to Priest on night 1. Cody flat out beats Roman Reigns on night 2, right there in the middle with a crossroads. Last year, it was Solo Sikoa in with the Samoan Spike. Every single time Roman Reigns has defended successfully his title, he has relied on help from his bloodline, and maybe Cody has the ultimate answer, another member of that family, but this time neutralizing the other bloodline members instead of helping them. WWE would be in the position for either the swerve of a lifetime by having The Rock turn heel in the main event of WrestleMania 40, helping Roman Reigns beat Cody, or helping Cody neutralize all the outside interference bullshit that Roman has been using to win matches. That feels like it fits better if Rock is just out there to stop Roman's bullshit. Roman drops the belt to Cody. Roman's furious at The Rock. He challenges The Rock at Crown Jewel. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I think that would be way better. That way Cody's shit isn't messed up, and I guess we'll know more after the Royal Rumble as we get into the first 1 or 2 TVs if WWE is going to be going in that Rock direction. And we're going to know, after Saturday as well, after we see who wins these Rumbles, we should be able to get a better idea of what's going to happen by next Monday, because by then Roman, we would assume, will have successfully defended his title in that fatal 4-way. And then if Cody is the Rumble winner, we're there. And Cody and Roman can be face-to-face on Raw. I would do that. I absolutely would do that. I would make Roman appear on Raw. Maybe. Well, shit, that might be hard to do. But I would try to have him appear. That way Cody and Roman, you can get that face-to-face moment in the ring between Cody and Roman before they really get cooking with their build, and because we have to do the Elimination Chamber and shit first. But Punk would make most sense. Punk winning the Rumble, like I said, especially if Seth has the Rumble off and he's watching the match from the skybox, then he can climb to the ropes and point right to Seth. I'm challenging you, bitch. That would be great. And you would have the same thing on Monday. It would be Seth and Punk in the ring instead of Cody and Roman. So I'm hoping that Punk wins the Rumble, and then Cody's got to get his ass into that chamber somehow, win that, then he gets his moment, and that'll be a big win for Cody too. Stadium victory to earn a WrestleMania title shot would be pretty badass. So in a perfect world, that's the way I would like it to go down. And if The Rock has to be involved in WrestleMania, I would have him out there to help Cody. And maybe they can run the same play, run the exact same play as they did last year. Have Cody's got Roman on the ropes. Solo comes through the crowd to hit him with a Samoan Spike, and then Rock's out there, pulls him off, hits him with a rock bottom through the fucking table, and stops him from spiking Cody. And then Cody grabs Roman Reigns, crossroads, 1, 2, 3, celebrates ultimate endorsement from The Rock right after getting the ultimate endorsement from Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. The company's behind him. Cody's your new champion. That's what they should do. Please, WWE, do that for Greg. I need that. I like Cody Rhodes. Anyway, that is it for tonight, I believe. Oh, there's a good one, Jay Lambo. Lita and Trish, they still need to pay that off. Trish turned heel on Lita, on her bestie, and they never paid it off. I feel like Lita and Trish should both be in the Rumble, and Lita should eliminate Trish. That's what they should do. Excalibur in WWE, that would be interesting. Who loses their title first, asks Brian. Roman or Gunther? Well, I'm hoping Roman loses his title at WrestleMania 40, obviously. So that means Gunther would have to drop his title before then, which I don't know if he's going to do. I feel like maybe both guys might drop their title, because Gunther's probably going to work Brock. And I think the only way to make that match work here, are you going to put the Intercontinental title on Brock? Is that what they're going to do? I feel like I would rather have somebody like Chad Gable beat Gunther for the title. And I had pitched last week a No Way Out 2004 scenario where Eddie Guerrero faced Brock Lesnar for the title, do the same thing at Elimination Chamber, a February pay-per-view, just like No Way Out was. 20-year anniversary of that show coming up, by the way. We'll do a mic drop on that. Or maybe a pay-per-view review is what we should do. Or a watch-along. That's what we're doing. We're doing a watch-along. No Way Out 2004. Next month. Maybe really soon. 2 weeks. Anyway, I pitched an idea like that where you do Gable and Gunther for the championship at Elimination Chamber. However, that's not going to work because Gunther has got the visa issue. He can't leave the U.S. for 6 months, if I remember correctly, right? So, but imagine that doesn't exist. Imagine he doesn't have these visa issues. I don't think he's going to make Backlash either, which also sucks. And he might not be able to make Toronto. I don't know how long this should be up by the time we get to Money in the Bank. But I don't think he can make the Perth show. But if he could, I would do Gable and Gunther in Perth. First thing I would do is have Gunther in the Rumble. Brock enters the Rumble on Saturday and eliminates Gunther. Then you book Gunther and Chad Gable for the Intercontinental title at the Elimination Chamber, and you have Brock Lesnar playing the role of Goldberg, where he comes out, he sits at ringside, he gets involved in the match and interferes. And a lot of people might not like that. No, Gable should beat Gunther clean. Who cares? We didn't care for Eddie. Nobody made this argument for Eddie. Eddie winning the title, beating Brock Lesnar, even with Goldberg, was still a very great moment. He jumped into the crowd, winning the title, and that moment for him, you almost forgot all about Goldberg's interference. So I don't even really care so much about that. So, you could have Brock Lesnar interfere, spear or F5 Gunther, when the referee takes a bump and then Gable's able to recover and beat Gunther and win the title. And now Gunther's pissed and he's demanding Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And then it's one-on-one Gunther and Brock and Gunther beats him. Or it's just Gunther and Brock for the IC and Gunther beats him. But, I feel like Brock, is he going to keep just coming in for one-offs? Are they going to keep bringing Brock in to lose to somebody and then go away? I feel like if Brock and Gunther are going to work, I would like to see Brock and Gunther work a program, just like Cody and Brock did. Didn't Brock get that win over Cody? Wasn't it a trilogy? Refresh my memory. Wasn't it Cody winning first, then Brock winning, and then Cody won the blow-off? Is that how it went? Same thing. Just do the same thing. And have a little 3-match series there between the two and give Brock a win somewhere in there for sure before doing the blow-off. Maybe they do that, and then once Gunther and Brock are done, then you can move into something with Gable. But if Brock does not appear at the Royal Rumble on Saturday, I have 2 questions for you. If Brock's not in the Rumble, who eliminates Gunther? And who does Gunther work with at WrestleMania? My vote, Big E. Like I said earlier, Big E coming down, especially since New Day and Imperium have got a really personal issue right now. 3-on-2 scenario in the ring. Gunther, Vinci, Ludwig, beaten down, putting the boots to Kofi and Xavier. Clock ticks down. Big E comes out. 50,000 people bawling their eyes out, including me at home, as he makes his entrance and comes and cleans house, and New Day's reunited. And then maybe Big E challenges and beats Gunther for the title at WrestleMania. I'd be perfectly fine with that scenario as well. So there are fun possibilities. And if Triple H is back there with his little writing and booking team and they're coming up with all the same possibilities that we are, I'm hoping they pick the most fun ones. So we will see. Stay tuned. That is going to do it for tonight. I'm going to get out of here. I have 5 more minutes of editing to do on my Hogan video that I'm going to render that, upload it to YouTube, and release it tonight at midnight here on the West Coast. So 3 a.m. If you're a night owl and you're still on the East Coast and you're wide awake at 3 a.m., check out my Hulk Hogan 40th anniversary video, which drops tonight. It's 35 minutes long. And 40 years, 4 decades since Hulkamania. And this fool might waddle his ass out to the ring at the Royal Rumble and enter it on Saturday. I feel like there is a slight to more than slight possibility that actually happens, but we'll talk a lot more about that this week. Hogan video up tomorrow. Winged Eagle podcast a day early this week on Friday. We're going to come up here before SmackDown, talk about Dynamite, and predict the entire Royal Rumble card. And then on Saturday, join us for a big one. We're going to be up here watching the entire Royal Rumble pay-per-view, and we will stick around and do a review. It's going to be a fun week. Thank you so much, guys, for being here tonight. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and hope you enjoy the Hogan video in just a couple of hours. Y'all take care. Peace.